Okay, Niver, what's good? So today we're continuing with the second part of Accidental Wedding by Gracie. So in the first part, we had that Maddy, this girl in the village, saved the man that slid on this mudslide. His horse slid there, so the horse threw him out of the horse, and he cracked his head and had his leg bent, his ankle stamped on. So he was in danger of losing his life seriously. So she helped him. And a few days after everything, he's woken up. And when he woke up, she was trying to get, what's your name? And he really didn't want to answer. So when he eventually ended up answering, he said something that just shocked Maddy. He said, I don't know. And then he now looked at her like, but I thought you knew. She was like, why do you think I would know who you are? He said, you've been in bed with me the past 2 or 3 days. I'm not really sure how many days it's been because I've been in and out of consciousness. But you were on the bed with me and you feel familiar. I feel like I know your scent. And she's like, no, nothing was going on between us on the bed. I had the Hadrian's Wall to keep both of us on each our side. She was now trying to explain to him what a Hadrian's Wall is. He was like, hey, I know what a Hadrian's Wall is. Roman Emperor Hadrian built a wall to keep Scots out. So that's why the Hadrian's Wall, it's named after the Emperor Hadrian. Do you get? She was like, why do you remember the Hadrian's Wall and you don't remember your name? He said, I don't know why I remember a random fact like that, but I just think I remember random facts, but not my name. Renfrew was like, but I really think I do know you. I remember your scent. And at that, Maddy got offended. What do you mean? You remember my scent? I don't have a scent. I'm clean. I may not be able to buy soap, but I have homemade soap that I use. I make it with beeswax and other ingredients. That was he saying. Then he was like, what's your name? She's like, I'm Maddy Woodford. There are 5 children who live in this cottage with me. He was like, your children? She's like, how old do you think I am? The oldest is 12. Do you think I can have a 12-year-old at my age? He was like, you look about 25. She's like, no, I'm 22. And in her head, she's thinking, why does he think I'm 25? Do I look that old? So she's all overthinking right now. And this dude doesn't really care about all the things she's caring about, but ladies and being in this sort of situation sometimes. She now said, hey, I found you like this, and then I got your things in and I couldn't afford a doctor, that's why I had to check your things. Then he was like, you checked my things? And I need to see his look became accusatory. Like, why would you check my things? You're probably like all those people who save people just so that they can get rewarded for doing it. She actually apologized for looking through his things and said, I didn't actually use the money in the end because the doctor didn't charge for your care and I kept you alive. So when she learned that she was the one who kept him alive, I was like, okay, maybe I was too quick to accuse her. So she brought his bag out from beneath the bed. She now gave it to him. So he looked through it, nothing was missing. So as she turned away to do other things, and he said, it was like, oh my God, you're such an ass. That's what he was telling himself. How could you have been that mean to a lady who took you in and, she just treating you? And then he's looking at Maddy and she's looking all attractive, going about doing her things because he's looking at her body and it's fine. And he's like, oh, she's so desirable. He's like, why am I desiring a lady who's just like being all nice to me? I shouldn't be thinking that way. So, but he just goes through all these things and then, there's money there and then there's a handkerchief there too with an initial of R because he's thinking maybe I would be able to remember who I am if I go through my things again. So when he sees that handkerchief with an R initial, he's like, what does the R stand for? He's not like thinking everything that has to do with R. Is it Richard? Rupert? Rafi? Is it Roger? Is it Ruler? Russell? Rose? Raleigh? Rowie? None of them sound like me. They're not my name. Then next thing, the doctor that inspected him before he came back to inspect him again now that he's awake. And the man, he can remember random facts because the doctor was just like calling off many things. When was this thing? He answered. How many fingers am I holding up? 5. 5 foot 5. 10. What his name was answering quickly. Okay? This man that is Nash, that Maddy doesn't know his name is Nash. The man doesn't know his name is Nash. So the man, he could remember facts, but he couldn't remember anything about himself. So the doctor was like, okay. Everything seems okay. We hope your memory comes back. But for now, do not put any weight on your ankle. Because if you do so, you might never walk again. So the man just looked at the doctor like, was that meant to be a joke? That was so scary. How can you even joke with something like that? So that evening, the children interrupted. Okay, when they came back and heard, he's awake because Maddy wasn't around for that brief time. So children were all just gathered around him, the man at the bed. And then they were like, so your horse, what's his name? That let's call him Lightning. Like, the boys were voting that they should call the horse Lightning. The girls wanted Stella. Then little Lucy, 4-year-old Lucy, was like, I want Peggy after Pegasus, even though the horse does not have wings. So they were all kind of arguing about it. To bring peace to the house, the man had to lie because Maddy was cooking something on the fire so he could smell pepper. He was like, okay, the horse's name is Pepe. They're like, oh, you remember the name of the horse? But you can't remember your name. He's like, yeah, but I just somehow remember the name of the horse because he just wanted to clear the whole wahala before it becomes any big deal. Then, so the kids now eventually named him Mr. Ryder because he said that he saw his hanky. He has an R, but he can't remember his name. So they called him Mr. Ryder because he rode in on a horse, yeah? So for now, he's Mr. Ryder. So next thing, they had Maddy coming. This is evening. Maddy can't know that the kids were bothering him. So the kids were like, hey, just lie down, cover yourself. They covered him. They closed the curtain. They ran upstairs. Okay? So they'll make it look like they were not bothering the man because Maddy had warned them not to bother the man because he's recovering. So he just followed suit, cooperated with them. So Maddy and the vicar were the two people that arrived, Abby. So the vicar came and now inspected Mr. Ryder and said, look at all his overgrown hair. You know, he's not shaved in a while. Look at him. Look at his forehead. You know those things now. Older men, they shall find fault. I said, he's a ruffian. He should not be here. Maddy was like, he's nothing of that sort. He's harmless. He's a recovering man. Nothing is going to happen. Do you get? So, and the vicar was like, something better not happen. If not, you have to marry him to save face. Maddy was like, he's not going to come to that. So after the vicar left, Maddy and Mr. Ryder, they now spoke because Mr. Ryder now sat up. And then Mr. Ryder was like, why did you tell the vicar I can stay and I can't leave yet? Maddy is just like, do you want to go? They're actually not in the best state yet. At least just kind of stay an extra night. She was actually thinking of, good for him, or not that she actually wants to keep him in her house. She actually wants him gone ASAP. I heard you say that you can't get married to me. And you're correct. We can't marry. We're not on the same level. Maddy was like, excuse you? He was like, oh, no. He doesn't mean it in a bad way. So they just had a fallout about it. And Maddy was really upset. So she stormed out of the cottage to go to the garden, the part where she keeps a beehive. So she was upset. She went to talk to the bees. Her dad married her mom because her mom had fortune. She was beautiful and, could potentially give him heirs. But then her mom's fortune fell when the French aristocracy fell. She got less beautiful, which each time she tried to give birth and it did not work. And she could not give her father an heir in the end. Do you understand? And so these are the issues that led Maddy to be in the position where she is. And now that even the Sir Jasper that helped her, Sir Jasper is her late grandmother's friend. So she had written to him to say, hey, can you help me out? So he had loaned her the cottage and she had been paying rent by giving him honey. But now that Sir Jasper died and his man of business is saying you have to pay rent and is demanding an atrocious price, that's now become a real headache for her. So, but after talking to the bees, she felt some peace, even with everything that is going on with this strange man, Mr. Ryder, that is staying in her house. So with the little peace she gained, she now decided to just do a little work on the garden. And she used to hate gardening because it reminded her of things that could have been. Like, if she was raised like a typical English lady, bred in that way, she would have no business gardening. Probably more of sewing, embroidery, painting, those fine lady arts. But gardening was something she had to learn out of necessity back in France because her and grandma were living in this cottage, and it's just one of those things you have to learn to grow food, okay? And even when she returned to London and had, her father passed away and he left debts, thankfully Mr. saved them from the debtor's prison, but she now still came to this place and had to continue the gardening, but now she likes it, okay? So Mr. Ryder inside the cottage, he was pricked by guilt for how he just told this girl that he cannot marry. They cannot marry because they're worlds apart. Even though he cannot remember himself, he just knows based on, I feel I would not be married to someone like you. I feel like I've not been in a tiny cottage like this in my life, okay? This cottage might be tiny, but he looked around and it was so tidy. So it means this girl is put together, even though she may not have had her life go as she planned. And then there was something unusual that was also kind of nagging at Mr. Ryder. As per, for somebody who is low born and living in a cottage like this and working with her hands, she has a cultured accent, both-handed children, because Maddy had schooled the children in terms of writing and reading, you get, and she's quite schooled herself. So she has a good accent, you get. So he's not thinking probably she's a fallen gentleman's daughter in terms of their family no longer has money and she found herself in this kind of situation. So when Maddy comes back, he apologizes. So Maddy, because she knows he would have a headache, she gave him some widow back tea, and then when he tried to shave, because he wants to shave, but his hand was shaking so much, so Maddy had to be like, okay, you stay well, I'm going to shave you. So they trying to help him shave because she shaved her dad when her father was sick, so she kind of knows how this business is done, but trying to shave this handsome viral guy, because shaving him, he's sitting at the edge of the bed and she has to get in between his legs to get a good angle and shave him. So I think it ended up to be punishment to both of them, because their things are brushing, whether it's his thighs brushing against her or her breast brushing against his face. It's like, oh my God, what is this? Okay. So after the whole shaving thing, he tried to flirt more, and she's like, Maddy was like, you can't flirt with me. No, if you flirt with me, you'll get banished to the vicarage, because these children's livelihoods, the roof over their heads, it is based on me staying a virgin, keeping my virtue. Okay. While they were at dinner, because Nash ended up now having this Mr. Ryder, Nash person, please, I'm talking about the same person. He ended up having dinner with them. The children were all there. And while he's eating with them, so he's now remembering his own childhood with his older brother, Marcus. They had nannies, like different nannies coming in and going at some point. His mom is this jealous person that she will not be there for her kids, but she does not want any one nanny to stay too long, and then her kids will get attached to that nanny. So they would eat in the nursery, and once in a while that their father would summon them to the dinner table, just inspect their manners. Remember that he and his brother had better manners than these boys, but these boys seemed more relaxed because Maddy treated them well. Like one of the eldest of them, John, would hold out a chair for Maddy, who would sit and smile at him, and the boys would remain standing until Maddy has sat before they would sit at their tables. I mean, their manners are good. But, Marcus and Nash, they were raised better than that, okay? But still, their father would not be impressed. So that's when he dawns on him. Wait, what? I'm remembering. Why am I remembering my childhood? So his spoon fell out of his hand and it clattered on the table. And then he tried to remember again, but he couldn't remember consciously. So later in bed, he now heard Maddy doing something in the kitchen that involved water. He was like, oh, she's probably having a bath. And so the thing now started he was not like, oh, how would Maddy look like bathing? He and his dirty thoughts. It now led him to remember Turkey, because he's a diplomat person who travels a lot. He now started remembering Turkey and how one time where he went to, they assigned 2 female servants to help him bathe, and then they did other things. He was like, wait, what? I'm remembering Turkey. Oh, so the key to remembering is that I shouldn't remember deliberately. So when Maddy came back into the room, it was that, she had her bath, but she just washed the children's underwears. And instead of going to bed, because this guy has been waiting for Maddy to come and, still with him on the bed. But instead of Maddy coming to bed, she just brought out her hats to start refurbishing. So that's another thing she does for money. She makes over old hats for the women in the village. So Uncle just looked at her like, the rest. Like, how did you come to be in this situation where you're always busy doing this, doing that? She was like, yes, that her father left debts and no relations wanted the children. That's why I should take them. That the one woman that wanted to take Susan, the 8-year-old girl, because Susan is pretty, the lady had the guts to say, just a pretty one. She didn't want little Lucy that was 2 years old, no squabbling babies or no naughty boys. Just wanted the pretty one. So she just shunned the woman like Maddy and just carried all of them and said, we'll figure it out. Let all of us stay together. And the thing is, Maddy had been away from London for many years. She didn't come to London until when she was 19, when her dad sent for her. So as her father sent for her, Maddy had the thought of, her dad is probably calling her for her London come out, like to debut. But then her father was calling her to come and care for Lucy, whose mother had just died when Lucy was 2. So before that time, she'd been living in the French countryside with her grandma, growing vegetables, keeping bees, refurbishing hats, doing much the same thing there as she's doing here now. So she never had her come out. Her grandmother had died 6 months before her father called her back to London to take charge of the nursery. And the thing is, for 10 good years, from the time Maddy was 9 till they called her back to London, Maddy did not even know she had 5 step-siblings. Her father did not consider it necessary to tell her until he needed her to come and be maid, because he probably could not afford a maid servant or nanny to take care of his children. Like, very annoying man. It has a way to bring him back from the dead, slap him, punish him, give him hellfire to pay for all the things he did to his children, especially Maddy. Kai, he deserves it. as Maddy was talking about, the part of siblings, how she just found out she had siblings, she didn't know for 10 years. The thing now made Nash remember that he actually had two brothers that he does not know about. Besides Marcus, he has two other brothers that he did not know about until much later. And then he remembered the emotions he felt connected to them. Towards those two brothers, he feels feelings of anger, jealousy, hatred. And he's not like, whoa, what's the story there? Like, he can't remember it yet, okay? So, Maddy's dad died, like I said, 2 years ago, when Maddy was like, she came back to London at 19, but she's currently 22. Okay, so it's been almost 3 years. She's not actually resentful towards the children. She doesn't mind taking care of them. She's come to love them. It's her papa that caused all these things that she's resentful towards. So after everything Maddy's done, she now wants to sleep on the floor. Mr. Ryder was like, no, floor is cold. I'll come and sleep on the bed. I promise to behave myself. So when she came, she still put that Hadrian's wall between them. And then Mr. Ryder now put her legs between his own to warm them up because they were cold. So in the night when they were sleeping, next thing they heard is dum, dum, like whoa, shadows at the windows, scratching, shrieking, like somebody came to scare them. Yes. So next thing, because it was so loud, Maddy jumped out of the bed, grabbed frying pan. Then John came downstairs with a hunting knife. 11-year-old John, her father's heir, with a hunting knife. Jane, the 12-year-old, carried rolling pin. Like, everybody was afraid. You understand? So Maddy, they're all forming bravery. Mr. Ryder was like, I have a gun in my traveling bag. Get it for me. So they brought the bag for him. He just shot. He shot towards the fireplace. So as he shot beside the fireplace, now those outside knows that, these people don't get weapon or I be somebody they hear. They didn't know which one. So by the time Maddy opened the door to see whoever it was that was troubling them, she saw dark rope-shaped figures racing up the hill in the moonlight. Then later, Mr. Ryder were talking about who could it be that is troubling them. So Maddy was like, this person actually is not interested in breaking in, because there was a time that they have not even fixed bolts on the door, that these people will come, but they'll choose to stay outside and scare and go. They did not attempt breaking in at all. And this is the fourth time in 2 weeks that they've come. And each time that these people come, this person, whoever it is that is scaring her, comes. Mr. Harris, his estate manager, his man of business, or his caretaker, let's put it in a way that we can all get, would come and start demanding increased rent in each of those times that this person will come to scare Maddy. Okay, so in the morning, Maddy ended up sleeping on the bed with Mr. Ryder. So in the morning, they woke up in a funny position, like, she's pressed against him, like her back is pressed against his front, and she can actually feel, his bulge and things like that. So he woke up. Like, he woke up before she woke up, but he pretended to be sleeping and felt when she woke up. And he was like, what is she going to do? Will she try to seduce me? What is she going? Let me just see what she wants to do. So he now waits to see if she'll try to seduce him, maybe touch him or something. But Maddy didn't really do anything. Like, she was just there. But she was, she'd actually seen this guy naked a few times because she was his nurse, right? She had to undress and clean and things like that. But she'd never seen him like full on erect and something like that. So feeling that, she was like, how would that look like? So she was kind of trying to pull the clothes down slowly. The next thing in his sleep was like, yes, Maddy, go all the way. And she just jumped up, like, oh, why are you awake? That I wasn't trying to do anything. That she was just trying to defend herself. Uncle was like, here, right? Now, next thing, just held the back of her head. Like Mr. Ryder held the back of her head, brought her close to him and kissed her. Initially, he gave her a chaste kiss, like this close mouth kiss. That she was like, that wasn't really, whatever it is. He just said, no, Walla, let me show him how my ungentlemanly kiss looks like. Kissed her again. Kiss, but they stopped. So he was not like, have you told anyone about this ghost thing? She was like, yes, but no one believes her. The vicar said it's nonsense, that it's probably her imagination, or that they're not hearing right. Why the villagers think it's a bloody abbot. Apparently, the bloody abbot is a monk that used to dwell in a monastery. But then when Henry VIII came and looted the monastery and took many things and killed many of the monks, one of the monks apparently rose and started like terrorizing the soldiers. You get as far, you destroyed the house of God, now I'm coming for you, sort of thing. So how Maddy has been surviving in the village, like I said, is by keeping a good reputation. She's friends with many of the villagers. She supplies honey to them. She refurbishes hats. She gives them eggs from the chicken. She keeps a small poultry. So she changes all these things for other things she needs and the children needs. That's what keeps her going, but it's really not enough, okay? She actually didn't tell him about this reputation thing. why this reputation and friendship thing with the villagers came up is that Ryder said something. He was like, once his headache stopped, because he had a banging headache, he was like, Dad, let his headache stop so they'll continue the kissing and whatever they were doing. She was like, you're going to have to leave for the vicars. Next thing was like, oh, I'm allergic to clergymen. I don't want to go there. I'd rather stay here. And next thing, the children came down for breakfast. And then while they're like having breakfast, Ryder was kind of telling them many stories. So Raddy listened in and saw that this guy is not bad with kids. I mean, he does seem to have a lot of bad side. I mean, that his rakish, womanizer, seducer part. But he also really has many good parts. I mean, he defended I and the children. He's nice with the children. He's look how he's helped her. Like, he doesn't seem like a bad person. He does have his good and bad sides. So next thing, Mr. Harris came visiting in the afternoon. Okay, so Maddy had to be like, Ryder, hide, like close the curtain, stay on the bed and things. When he hid, he was now looking at them through this small partition in the curtain. So this Mr. Harris person, he looks to be about 40 years old, and he's almost a dandy. He's dressed too finely for someone who's an estate manager. So Ryder stayed hidden, and then Harris was now saying a lot of things because he claimed that the new heir of Sir Jasper, his elder brother, the Earl of Alverley, sent a letter saying that Nash Renfrew demands that she pays £5 or leaves. Okay, so by the time Nash had Sir Jasper Brownrigg, the name of his uncle, the full name of his uncle, and he had Earl of Alverley, and he had his own name, Nash Renfrew, it seemed as if it tipped something in his head. So all his memories came rushing back. Okay, so by the time he'd settled, because it took some time, right? And he took his time to settle. So by the time he'd settled enough, Harris was gone. Maddy was just sitting there lost in thought, like, how will I raise £5? Because this is an era where a maid servant makes £10 as annual income. All these maid servants working in big houses. And you're demanding £5 of a girl that is not earning directly from anybody. Okay, so how does she want to do it? When Ryder tried to tell her, hey, Maddy, I got something to tell you, she was like, not now, that she needs to go somewhere. Because she was upset, thinking of how she's going to come up with money and stuff like that. So as she left, Nash now recalled what he was planning to do. Okay, that he was coming to this village to check his uncle's property before he would go somewhere. He's now also thinking, well, now that he has his memories back, he doesn't need the rent from this cottage. Maddy can just live here for free. And besides, why is Mr. Harris lying that he has to take him up on that? But then by the time Maddy came back to the cottage, Nash didn't see a need to tell her the truth, because he needed to stay in the house to find the ghosts that are disturbing her at night. So he actually stayed for her own safety, okay? So Nash now gave Maddy £10. And she was like, why are you giving me £10? She just said, take it as thank you for you treating me and me staying in your bed and eating your food. She's like, still, even if a bed and breakfast was what took you in, £10 is too ludicrous. Like, it's too hefty a price. He was like, that she should just see it as bribe too for her not sending him off to the vicarage. She just thanked him and said that she plans to write to the Earl of Alverley, stating her position and asking for his understanding. But she was like, that she has a problem, that she does not know the address of the Earl of Alverley. So Nash cannot tell Maddy his brother's address without giving himself away, So he was like, there is something called the Debrett's Peerage. He's a guide for the best families in the kingdom. His address should be there. The vicar should have one of those books. Maybe you should just go borrow from the vicar. She was like, yes, I should do that. So that's how she went and got the address. And she now came back, wrote the letter, and she was about to go and post it. But then Nash needed to write something else in the letter. So he distracted Maddy. He was like, that clothes you washed and hung outside, it looks like it's about to rain. Maybe you should bring the clothes in before you go. So the time that she used to go out to get the clothes, he used that time, he heated up a knife, okay, opened the letter, and you know how you write something and that those papers now that have middle but then two margins on the side. So one of those empty margins that are neat, he now just scribbled something for his brother. He just said, Marcus was injured but I'm recovering. Give Miss Woodford whatever she wants. I'm at her cottage incognito. He underlined incognito twice. Funny business going on. Boots slashed. Send new ones urgently. Nash. So it was just a neat act. He covered the letter back, kept it like though nothing happened. So as Maddy goes to deliver the letter at the post office, and she was even fortunate really, so it was already even rolling out of town. because the delivery person came at the time she got there and things like that. She was just really, really fortunate. But in that time she was away, Nash made himself useful. He chopped up firewood and did some few things. And then he was now sitting and bored, and then he noticed one brown leather case sticking out. So he just went to open it, and he discovered sketchbooks, a diary that was written in French, Maddy's diary. And he can read French, so he was reading it when Maddy came back. He couldn't arrange everything, and now she was mad that he went through her personal things while she was gone. So he was placating her like, I'm sorry, I didn't read all that much. But she's like, but you'd have read more if I didn't come back. And his expression told her that, he would have. She, after that encounter, she just became politely cold, just treated him distantly, like, oh, okay, have this, okay, don't have this, as far as somebody I'm accommodating, but then I don't want to have anything to do with you personally kind of attitude. Nash was like, oh, I want to shave, because he was thinking she's going to shave him again, but today his hand is stronger, so only for the boys, John and Henry, to say, hey, you're shaving, oh, because they don't have any fatherly example to show them. So he ended up having to give a shaving lesson to the boys. And it was actually a fun time. He didn't expect it to be. Afterwards, he was playing this game with the children, like cards game. So Lucy claimed his lap and stayed there. And in that time, Maddy was making skep. Like a skep is more like a basket that looks like a beehive that he used to catch bees. She prepared the children for bed. So the whole setting was just so domestic to Nash. And it's uncommon for him. He knew now his memories are back. So he knows it's uncommon that for him to experience such a domestic lifestyle. So, and when the girls are now going up to bed, we now complimented Jane. She's supposedly not pretty one out of the three girls. Nash said something really nice, even though he did not know about her not being the pretty one, things like that. He was just like, Jane, don't worry, you're going to be a looker one day. Oh, you have all the men chasing and you have a lot of hearts to break. He just said something like that. And the thing took Jane off guard, and she just shyly smiled and went up. Maddy told him, thank you, that you don't know what that means to her. And this is her that was trying to stay vexed. But seeing how he handled the kids, because Lucy even fell asleep in his lap, in as much as he didn't know what to do with her, he held her there until Maddy came and carried Lucy out of his lap. Like, he was just so at odds with the whole arrogant, rich guy who just wants to get something from, like, maybe take her innocence or something. And she's really trying hard not to fall for this guy, because 5 children are depending on her being a virgin and staying pure. So that night, with his memories back, he surprised her, because in other times he'll be the one pushing her to come to the bed because he wants to do something. But today, with his memories back and he knowing that this girl is honorable and I'm not going to marry her because I'm leaving the country, he surprised her by being the one that just said, you take the bed, I'm going to take the chair. And she was just looking at him like, what changed? She just thinks, okay, he's keeping distance too. But since neither of them could sleep, she now ended up having to bring out that brown leather case that he opened now that he saw those sketches. And she was like, oh, it's her mom who made the sketches. She liked to paint. So her parents' story is that when her father was 30, he came to Paris and met her 17-year-old mother. He liked the woman, but her mother's father refused. He does not like Englishmen. So when the revolution started, because they went out one day and the crowd just ripped them apart, killed them. So when Grammy heard of it, she now hurriedly called her papa, like Maddy's papa, and said, please marry my daughter and take her out of France. So Grammy stayed now out of loyalty to Marie Antoinette, because Grammy was one of her ladies in waiting, the queen of France at that time. This is them just kind of going through the sketches. So they came to one sketch, the sketch of baby Jean, the last of Maddy's short-lived brothers, because her mother gave birth to a lot of sons, because her papa was after A. But oftentimes she'll give birth to those boys, and maybe they're too small, or something, they'll die within few days, few weeks, things like that. Her father will be mad. Nash asked the question, so you, Maddy, how did you come to stay in Paris? How come you were not in London? How come you were not in England? How were you at France for that long? What happened? So that's when she was like, oh, okay, that because of all this, her baby brothers dying, her mother wanted to go on a pilgrimage to Lourdes to pray. Her mother went with her father, okay? Because Lourdes is in France, okay? While Maddy stayed with her grandma at the cottage, her grandma's cottage at the countryside. So it's at that time when they went for that pilgrimage, because her mother had just lost a baby not too long ago, and she needed her to have more time to, for her body to recover. She was not meant to take him quickly, but her father was too impatient. He impregnated the lady again. That's her mother. So as they came back, the child was born premature, died. The father did not bother carrying Maddy back to England, just left both of them there. So after that baby died, her mother just kind of faded away, passed not long after. Father never tried to bring Maddy out of France, even after the war started, everything. That's where she stayed. So after this whole thing, honestly, I am so freaking mad at her dad. If I could go and bring this man back to life and punch him several times over in the belly, just make it like, the man deserves hell for what he's put his daughter through and what he's putting his children through. Seriously. That's how angry I am at this man. So after Maddy was done talking, Nash, he kissed her on the forehead, wished her a good night. But instead of just kind of leaving her, he was just tempted. They shared a few more kisses, like side kissing, but he just pulled away and said, "Good night, Maddy." So they slept separately. He took the floor, she took the bed. So in the night, Maddy woke up because she felt someone moving outside. Those ghosts again. But when she now hurried outside, she noticed that they burned the beehives. They literally, there was a rack there that they soaked in lamp oil. Why are they burning the beehives? And then they destroyed the vegetable garden, deliberate destruction, broke the twigs, the little things. So Maddy was just like, why would they do this? She's crying. But then they were so quiet in the attack that night that the children didn't even wake up. They slept through the destruction. Because remember the other time, the kids woke up. So Nash now calmed her down. If not fun, she was like, there's nothing she can do. She should come inside. She should rest. That they'll figure it out. So Maddy was like, okay, that she can start over. Do you understand that? Okay, the beehive, she can get more bees. She can replant the garden. But does restarting mean that they would leave her be? What if she tries to restart and they come and attack it again? Because she doesn't know what these people are after, okay? And Nash was feeling so bad because he stayed to protect her. But now this guy still attacked, although he's there. So he feels that he failed her. And another thing is, he's also kind of fighting himself from jumping on Maddy, literally. Because this is a lady he feels a strong attraction to. Now he's just put in a position of, I have to take care of her. Because she's shaking, she's cold from being outside. And he's like, you have to change. So he made sure she changed before bed. So in the morning, he helped her tidy the garden. And when the kids woke up and saw the destruction, that the beehive was gone, they were shocked. They made themselves useful. Somebody fetched eggs. Somebody was helping Maddy replant the seedlings. After they finished kind of doing what they could, they now held a ceremony for the bees. And Nash was just thinking, this is strange. Why holding a ceremony for the bees? And I get, yes, bees give us honey, but you get. So it was not later Maddy brought it up when they were kind of eating, and she said, I know you find this strange. He was like, no, what? No. She's like, I know you find this strange. But look at the thing. Bees have been an important part of our family because the revolution started in France and they were killing people, killing nobles, that her grandma, what saved her grandma's life was bees, because her grandma was a keeper of bees for Marie Antoinette. So what she did was that she pulled all the beehives in a circle. She went to the garden, pulled all the beehives in a circle. She sat in their middle, wearing her veil and gloves that would keep them from stinging her. So when the city people came, all those people that would have killed grandma, they did not know about that. If they had waited till nightfall, the bees would retire to their hives. They did not know. But as we are trying to come too close to her grandmere, the bees would sting them. So they now ended up leaving her alone to go for easier prey. So that was how she was saved. So that's why bees have been part of their family and history for a long time. Later, Mr. Harris came again. He demanded £5 for rent the other time, and Maddy shocked him by having £10 that Nash gave her. Then she was like, okay, give me change. Then he just grumpily gave her change because he was even shocked. Like, how do you have £10? Like I told you, £10 is a big deal at those times. And then another thing, she now said, give me receipts. That's standard business practice. He was not like, what does she know about standard business practice? Because after all, she's been paying for this cottage. He made a reference of wicking your honey pot. as per Sir Jasper got the wick in a honeypot, which is kind of an euphemism for saying Sir Jasper was sleeping with her. There was this silence, and next thing Maddy slapped him. So Harris was now attempting more as per, is it not true? He was trying to now grab Maddy. That's when Nash had no choice but to show himself. And the thing is, Nash is recovering back. So that means he's always lying down, mostly half dressed. I mean, he's dressed now, but at least buttons are open. He's not wearing shoes. And if you see a man looking in that state in a woman's house who's unmarried, it will look like they're up to something, even though they're not doing anything bad. So as Nash showed himself, so Harris was like, no wonder, this is where you got your £10 from. And then Nash punched him. And then Harris was like, I'm going to get the magistrate to come upon you and all of those things. Nash was like, go and try. Get out of my house. As per my house that I live in as estate manager, that I am he. The person, I am the Honorable Nash Renfrew. It was like that. It's a lie. You cannot be him. You are lying. All these things I'm saying are lies. She's like, if you say so. But then I know that Ferrin, the butler, and Mrs. Pickens, the housekeeper at my uncle's house, can verify that it's me. That thing was like, oh, you must have heard their name somewhere. Anyhow, Nash was just looking at him. And at this point, Maddy is shocked because she does not know his memories are back or that he's her new landlord, Abby. Nash now forced Harris out of the house and said, leave the £10, don't touch it. So now, instead of having £5 left, Maddy had £15 because she never gave Harris the £10. So she has £15 now that she pocketed into one concom like that. So, in all of these things, Nash is not recovered well. So as he has finished doing the effigy by showing himself now, punching Harris and things, strength was now fading. So he had to lean against somewhere. So now Maddy could not take this thing lying down. As far your memories came back, he did not tell me. He was like, hey, I've only known for 24 hours. Because he literally just got his memories back the previous day when Harris came and was haggling Maddy for rent money. Then she was like, but you just put me in a bad spot by showing yourself. Because of all persons to show yourself to is somebody who hates me. That he's going to spread rumors that I had a healthy man at home and I'm doing God knows what with him. You understand that sort of thing, that my reputation is ruined. So he was like, I did not hide this thing from you. I could not tell you immediately because you're upset, you left. When you came back, things just got haywire. So the only thing was her name. Maddy was just thinking about was, the only option left to me right now is Fifield Place and Mr. That I didn't want to go back there, but I have to go back there for the children. She did not tell Nash all these things though. So Nash knows he can marry Maddy to avoid a scandal. He wants it, but he doesn't know if Maddy is going to fit in international society. Because remember, he's an ambassador. And Maddy is a simple country girl who raises vegetables, trains bee, she's not going to fit in my glamorous world, okay? And even though the men might be like, oh, she's pretty and like her, that the women would, if they find out her background, they would make her life miserable. You understand? But he knows she needs another place because he knows how these people can be. The fact that they saw you with man is something else. He was like, okay, maybe she will go to my brother's cottage, like the cottage on my brother's land, and I would settle her with an allowance and make sure the kids are provided for. They have a trust fund set up. But even with all those things, he was still feeling guilty. So when Maddy came back, because she went out to cool her head, she was like, Nash, you're leaving today. He was like, okay, that he would leave if he was sad. But he was like, he has to say goodbye to the children first. As all the things are going on, she's just thinking, if only she wasn't supporting 5 children. If only she wasn't in a cottage like this. If only she had her come out in London and she met Nash, she would have been, in a position to marry him. But she's like, okay, I can't live on if only. Let me just move past this. She gets that he stayed to protect her and the children. And she gets that maybe he did it for repayment or because he was grateful for her. And she was like, so much for thinking he stayed because he wanted more time with me. Because part of her was hoping he was staying because, I like this lady. I just want to spend more time with her. She was like, me and my foolish hope self. Maddy now asked Nash about himself. He now told her, I'm a diplomat. It's a job he loves. He travels. There's much intrigue. You make glittering palaces, political fencing in the dark, all the while you're serving your country while going on this grand adventure. And he doesn't plan to settle in England. He just came for Uncle Jasper's inheritance. When Uncle Jasper's letter came, he thought that Uncle Jasper was muddled in the head as per old age had affected the man. Maddy was like, no, that I used to visit Uncle Jasper when he was alive, that he was frail in body, but his mind was clear. Then the thing now had Nash thinking, so what is it with the financial indiscrepancies I discovered in the books? That means somebody else was stealing this money, because Marcus, his older brother, and Nash's older brother, the heir, had written to him when he was in Russia. Part of the reasons why Nash needed to hurry and return to his place is that there is a party that they are going to be hosting soon in London, and Nash had invited the Grand Duchess, Anna Petrovna Romanova. She's coming to London. In real-time history, Grand Duchess Anna Petrovna Romanova, she died when she was a baby. But this is fiction. So the writer took liberties of, what if the Grand Duchess lived? And she came to London because they're all Europe, yeah? And, she just happens to be in Nash's story because Nash is a diplomat who happens to know her, and they're on good terms because for some reason Nash is really good with older ladies. Most guys who are like big time rogues are good with older ladies. I mean, I know my cousins. Many of them they're not womanizer entirely, but they like woman, they know how to pursue woman. Many of them are good with my aunts, my older aunts, and everybody. Those are the ones that be like, she's here, John Francis, hey, Ebuka, and your mouth. Shift Joe, but they will laugh. See all those young boys, they are good with older ladies, all those rascal younger boys. So Nash is no different. He's really good with Anna, this Grand Duchess, just like he's good with his aunt. Maddy asked Nash other questions. Do you have any relatives who'll be worried about your safety? Like, not necessarily, because I was meant to meet up with them 4 days after this. I was meant to write to this person. Like, the timeline of when I had my accident and recovered did not fit into any time I was supposed to see anybody. So they would not have known that anything was wrong with me until much, much later. And he doesn't have a wife, but there are wedding arrangements going on. So he was like, he felt guilty saying that, but he just wanted to be truthful. And he says that actually it's a practical marriage. It's not like it's somebody he's dying over. You get? So when the kids came back, there was dinner. John and Henry mentioned to Nash that it'd be nice if he taught them how to fight, because they mentioned something about some boys at the village, and not to Maddy's hearing because they didn't want to worry her, but Nash recognized it. He knows that young boys can be savage and the boys are probably experiencing bullying, so he said, okay, I'm going to teach you guys how to fight. But then Maddy now turned and said, he's leaving, because at this point Nash was still hesitating to say it. So that's when he now had to yeah. So the kids were like, where are you going to? He was like, his memories came back, that he'll just be down the road at Whitehall Manor. So the kids were excited. Okay, at least you'll still be our neighbor. He's like, just for a short time, I'm going to leave, return to Russia. Like, oh no. And this hurt little Lucy too, because here was she hoping that Nash is a prince and Maddy is a princess, yeah? Or Cinderella. So dinner was sort of sad, with goodbyes going around. But after dinner, there was a heavy rain that started, that you cannot even send dog out in that rain. So for that reason, Nash had to stay the night. So at bedtime, they tried to pinpoint Harris's motive for trying to evict her. Like, both of them now, everybody, she's on the bed, he's on the floor. And then he's not like, why do you think Harris is doing this? If I just paid him rent, why isn't that enough? The thing that made them start speculating, do you think there's a hidden treasure in this house he's trying to get? Maddy was like, she has checked everywhere, that there's not even a loose floorboard. Okay, that what else is it that he's finding in this house that he wants her out by force? Mysterious. So Maddy knew what lay ahead, as per once Nash leaves now, because her reputation is already ruined because Harry saw Nash in her house. She knows she has to go back to Fifield Place at Leicestershire to marry Mr. That is like over 60 years old, that she knows her body is going to do her body as though ants is crawling her skin when he touches her. She has to endure intimacy with that kind of man. So she already knows her future, but she has to endure it because of the children, to provide them a home and a warm place. So for that reason, she was not like, Nash, come to bed. And then he was like, no, that he doesn't want to come to bed because if he comes to bed, he can't hold back. And then she was like, I don't want you to hold back. But as he came to bed, they kind of talked a bit before things heated up. So he was more like saying, don't think that because I'm leaving that I'm just going to abandon you. So I'm close by, so I'm going to provide for you. I would send rugs, I would send this, I would have a man bringing firewood. He was saying things that, on the surface, somebody will start celebrating, hey, God, my life is made. God has come through. But Maddy did not say anything. She was just looking at him because she knows if she receives all the favors he's sending, she's going to look like his mistress. And she does not want to look like that. Okay, so after everything else, they got to kissing and they did the deed. Nash just felt at the end of the day unsatisfied. Not unsatisfied because it was bad or anything, but he just connected to her so much that it felt to him like this is not like laying with a prostitute or laying with a lady that you're just doing these things for sex sake. This is like I felt something for this woman and now I have to leave her. It was so unsatisfying. More like I want more of this woman. And why do I feel that way? Because I'm not supposed to fall in love with anybody, right? I saw my parents' disastrous marriage, right? In the morning, Nash left before the children woke up. And Maddy was so bright, although her eyes were luminous, shining with tears. And he kept telling her, hey, it's not goodbye. I'm just down the road. I'm still around for weeks. Even when I go to Russia, we're in contact. She just kept saying, I know. And at the door, she just kissed him. And he recognized that kiss for what it was, a goodbye kiss. And kissed her back hungrily as far. Why? This is not goodbye. But she just bolted the door when he left. And as he left, he kept thinking of her because he had to walk to the vicarage to get his hearse. After getting his hearse, he was just still thinking, okay, he's going to help settle all the children. Somehow he's going to think of how to get Maddy to accept his help because he knows her pride. But as he got his hearse and he was now going towards Whitehorn Manor, that's his uncle's place that he has inherited. As he just saw the house come into view, he said, no. He turned the horse around and drove back towards the house. So meanwhile, that morning, Lizzie came over and told Maddy, the rumor is all over. So Maddy was like, that she suspected that she's leaving to Leicestershire. And then an idea now struck her because Lizzie too has already reached the point where she can be lady's maid. And since Maddy is going to be marrying Mr. in her mind, she's like, Mr. is rich. He can afford me having a lady's maid. So she's like, follow me. Come and become my lady's maid. So Lizzie was excited. So as she left to go and pack up, Maddy was like, let her go and see the vicar to tell the vicar she's leaving because it's somehow the vicar has been so nice to her and the children. So as she left to see the vicar, Nash arrived. He saw the house was open. But then he also saw that Maddy was packing. And it's only been like 2 hours since he left. She was like, did this lady plan to disappear without telling me? That he thought he was the one that was abandoning her, not knowing that she's the one abandoning him. Because she had packed, she had some things in piles, some things that she would leave behind. So it was now shocking him. And then on the table, there was a letter that she was trying to write to a certain Mr. George Home. She will start the letter. I decided to accept your offer. She will cancel. Okay, I've thought about it and I'm coming back. Is that offer still open? She will cancel. So he now saw it. I was like, she came in through the door. She was like, did you forget something? As she saw him there. The first question he now asked her is, who is Mr. Her face just shut out. This kind of thing, your face is open like, okay, why is he back? Did he forget something? Only for him to ask her an unexpected question, meaning he read her letter. And he's always reading her letters. If it's not her brown box he went to, that her sketches thing, is this letter that he saw on the table. And then she's still going to find out that he opened the letter that she was writing to Earl of Averley, his brother. He's always going through her letters. And the thing is always vexing her. Like, can you not leave my things alone in peace? She explained to him who Mr. is. So her father has a house now, an enlisted house. You cannot sell off an enlisted house for debt. So that means John is going to inherit that house when he turns 21. So for the meantime, Mr. it was her dad's financial somebody. So he co-trusting the house as per he put tenants in the house that paying rent that he's using to pay off debts. The man is older than 60 years old and he has been asking for Maddy's hand in marriage since Maddy was small. The recent one he asked her was 2 years ago. Maddy is suspecting that the man is just attracted to her based on she took care of her dad well at his old age. And the man saw it and that's what he's attracted to. That's just sick. But Nash was like, you can't do that kind of thing now. You cannot marry him. You've turned him down. So it then led to an argument that just kept going in circles and circles. But you've turned him down now. Don't marry him. She's like, I know what I'm doing. It's my choice. This one. He was like, see, I'll get a house elsewhere. She's like, that's living like your mistress. And then Uncle checked his intention. I was like, it's true. If I give her a house and all this comfort, he's basically like setting her up as though she's my mistress. And she's like, I can't live like a mistress on crumbs of attention. That I'm going to make my own choices. She's like, see, if you're feeling guilty because of what happened last night, I don't regret last night. That was my choice too. That just don't feel guilty about it. So it led to them arguing. So she just forced herself to calm down. She just offered a handshake more like, Let's have a farewell handshake. I wish you well, Mr. Renfrew. Uncle, out of anger, was like, what kind of thing is this? So he heard himself say, because out of anger, he now said, all right then, I'll marry you. As he now said it, it was not like Maddy just looked at him. Like, are you okay? Did you know what you just said? And he too was reasoning, what did I just say? Did I just ask this girl to marry me? Okay. But he now put on his poker face on, that diplomatic face, as I'm not going to take back what I said. Yes, I said it. All right then, I'll marry you. He was now waiting for her reply. And that's where we're going to stop for now. So the last installment of the story will be out tomorrow, like unfailingly tomorrow, because, the episode is ready. So please listen. I don't want to stretch this longer than it already is. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you loads. Never.